Hey everyone, Live It Like Lisa here. Not gonna lie, I am really looking forward to this makeover. So if you've been watching my channel a while, you probably will have seen in one of my thrift store hauls, I picked up this mirror from a thrift store a little while ago for $20. And just yesterday, me and Jessie went shopping and popped into one of the thrift stores on the way home. And I found these two shutters that were $5 each. So I'm actually obsessed with shutters. So I picked them up, and when I brought them home, they just happened to be the perfect size to fit alongside this mirror. So I've got the idea to create this little wall decor and put it in my entryway. But according to like feng shui and all that sort of thing, it's not a great idea to have a mirror facing your front door. Something about like any luck that you have will be reflected out your front door. So what we're going to do is I'm going to change this mirror into a blackboard, and then I can decorate the blackboard for the seasons, or we can even use it for notes for each other, whatever. So what I'm going to do first is just give each one of these a good clean, and then we'll start the makeover. So let's get started. All right, so I don't know if you can hear my dishwasher in the background, but that buzzing sound is that, and quite frankly, I don't know how to stop it and restart it. So we're just going to deal with it. Okay, so the shutters and mirror have been washed, and now I'm just going to, surprise, surprise, paint them in some white chalk paint. Now, I make my own chalk paint just because I find it's a hell of a lot cheaper, especially with the amount of stuff that I chalk paint, pretty much my whole house. So we're just going to cover all of these in a couple of coats of white chalk paint, and then we'll go on from there. Couple of coats of paint on all of these now, and I've decided I'm going to go with a bit of a distressed look for the shutters. I'm going to do like a bit of a dry brush paint technique on the mirror, and I think it'll look nice when I've got the chalkboard. I'm actually going to try and use some chalkboard contact, see if that works. If not, then I'm just going to paint some chalkboard paint onto it. But I'm hoping the contact will work, because I think that was just going to be a hell of a lot easier than trying to paint it. Okay, so what I've got here is some leftover paint from a previous project. It's just a beigey sort of color. What I'm going to use is one of these really cheap brushes. They're really good for dry brushing because they're very feathered, and it gives very defined strokes. So I like using these, and I think they're pretty much like the cheapest brushes you can get. I'm not sure what their actual purpose is. Maybe they are for dry brushing, who knows, but that's what I'm using. So what I do is I dip my paintbrush into the paint, and then I'm just going to dab a lot of that off, and then we're just going to very lightly give it some strokes of the paint.
Okay, so once that's fully dry, I'm going to now go in with a bit of a darker brown paint, doing the exact same thing, but this time not covering it as much as the beige. So we're just going to put a few highlight strokes here and there. And the trick to doing this dry brushing is just put less to start with and you can always add more. And I mean, if you do go a bit heavy-handed, it's not the end of the world. Just wait till the paint dries, and then once it's fully dry, just dry brush over it with a bit of white to take away the excess color and just redo it again. It's not a big deal. Okay, so while the mirror is drying, I'm just taking some sandpaper and a sanding block and just distressing all the shutters. So the paint technique I did on this, it was pretty rough, like it was just a rough covering of the paint, and now I'm just distressing it by taking some of that off on all the edges and where I think it may have worn naturally. Alright, so to remove all the excess paint on the mirror, I'm just using a steel ruler. It just comes off really, really easy. You can use like a flat knife or something like that. I just find this really satisfying, just removing all the excess paint. And yeah, like I said, it just peels off really easy. So we want to make sure the mirror is fully clean before we put the contact paper on. The contact paper I'm using is from Kmart. I had this in my stash. I don't know why I bought it, but I've never used it, so I'm not sure how well it's gonna go. It was only like a $3 roll. I'm not expecting a lot, but yeah, I just thought I'd try it on this project, and if it doesn't end up working out, it's so easy to just peel off and I can just repaint it with the actual chalkboard paint. So what I'm doing here is just measuring it out and then cutting it. Luckily it has a grid pattern on the back to make this job a lot easier, and just, yeah, cutting it to size, and then we're going to roll it on. So inevitably, whenever you're using contact paper, you're more than likely always going to get a few bubbles. So what I'm trying to do here is just smooth out as many bubbles as I can towards the sides where the air can actually escape. But for the stubborn holes, or the ones that are in the middle, as you can see here, there's a few bubbles in the middle. What you do is just get like a little pin or just the sharp point of a knife, and just put a tiny, just sort of tap a tiny hole into that bubble, and then just smooth around it, and all the air will escape from that hole. Now, it doesn't have to be a gaping hole, like the whole idea is that you can't see it and it's invisible, but you can see here I just lightly tap it with the knife, and that's just enough to actually push all the air out of those air bubbles, and you're left with a pretty smooth surface then. So yeah, I'm just basically doing that on all of the little air bubbles that have been caught. That's my little tip just for you guys. Now, the other thing I'm doing here, and I'm not sure if you need to do it with the contact paper, like the chalkboard contact paper, but I know whenever you paint something with chalkboard paint, like not chalk paint, but the chalkboard paint, you're supposed to go over the whole thing with like some white, like not actually write on it yet, but just pretty much like what I'm doing here, color blocking the whole thing with some white chalk first before you write on it. That way, I think what this does, it actually stops, when the first time you write on it, it'll stop that writing being imprinted onto the blackboard. Because I think if you just write on a freshly painted blackboard, it's going to leave the imprint of that writing forevermore. So I think you actually have to coat it in some chalk first, and then you can use it. So that's what I've done here, and I'm just wiping it all off, ready to be used. Well, here you go, guys. I'm standing in my entryway at the moment with my back to the front door, and this is where I decided to put my
shutters and mirror makeover. I'm thinking I might get a very thin little table or something just to put under that. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a little bit bare on that wall, so maybe just a very small thin table to go under it, because this is our hallway, so our hallway goes all the way there and then all the way that. Excuse my mess, I'm in the middle of other makeovers. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way this has turned out, and I've just decorated it a little bit for Halloween. That's probably the extent of my Halloween decorating this year. But yeah, I plan to decorate this throughout the season, so like Christmas and all of that sort of thing as well. Probably put some like little decorations up the top, maybe put a couple of wreaths on either side, and yeah, just another little spot for me to do my decorating. So I'll give you a little close-ups. I love this paint technique. It's really, I don't know, I really like it. It'd be perfect for like a coastal beachy decor as well. And this is the sort of paint technique that I did on the tables for the cafe. I think I mentioned it in my last coastal decor video, that I also painted and gave a bit of a makeover to the tables in the cafe. And this is the sort of paint style that I did on those tables as well. So yeah, here's a close-up of the shutters, all painted in white chalk paint and distressed. I'm really happy with the way they've turned out as well. And a little bit of a close-up of the paint. I'm not a great chalk person, so yeah, that was just a quick 5-minute job to decorate it a little bit for Halloween, for the final reveal. And the other one here. So yeah, this was like a really quick project, believe it or not. Like, if I would have spent like my whole time doing it, I reckon it probably would have, you know, not counting drying times, it would have been only a half-a-day project, to be honest. But I took my time. I was doing other stuff in between, so it took me a full day to finish it. But yeah, super happy with the result. I love this little mirror / now chalkboard. I'm going to get a little container here to put some chalk in as well. And yeah, looking forward to decorating this new area of my entryway. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.